Hi everyone. Today I'm going to read a poem called "O Captain, My Captain" by Walt Whitman. Some of you may have some familiarity with it because this was the poem in the movie Dead Poets Society that the teacher, Mr. Keating, was teaching his class to read. If it's okay with you though, I'm going to refrain from standing on a desk when I read it. First of all, if you've never seen that movie, I do recommend it. There's some really good scenes in it. My favorite is probably the scene where the teacher, brings a very shy student up to the front of the class and through a large amount of encouragement gets him to recite some poetry. I'd like to think that there really are some teachers out there somewhere. Unfortunately, I never crossed paths with any. The poem, if you just read it without knowing anything about it, appears to be about the death of the captain of a ship. However, if you know something about Walt Whitman, and if you know that it was written in 1865, it might occur to you that what it's really about is not the death of the captain of a ship, but rather the death of the leader of a nation, specifically Abraham Lincoln. Walt Whitman was born in 1819 and died in 1892. And he grew up in New York City, and he was a printer, then he was a teacher, but for most of his life he was a journalist. In the 1840s, he became the editor of a newspaper in New Orleans. And while he was a journalist in New Orleans, he witnessed the auction of slaves being sold. And this had quite an effect on him. And he eventually moved back to New York City, and he actually founded a newspaper which he termed a Free Soil newspaper. He wasn't a particularly big supporter of Lincoln to begin with, but as the Civil War dragged on, he became much more of an admirer of him. During the Civil War, as a journalist, he went and visited many wounded soldiers in hospitals, including his own brother. Walt Whitman himself did not serve in the Civil War. He would have been 42 years old when the war broke out, and he was also gay. The poem was written after the death of Lincoln. It had a great effect. The death had a great effect on Whitman, and he wrote it as a metaphor, or what's called an extended metaphor in this case, to convey the sadness and grief that he and many other Americans felt over the assassination of Lincoln. He became very connected to this particular poem. He wrote a lot of other very good poetry, but he was almost exclusively known for this particular poem, to the point where years later someone asked him about it and he replied, "Damn the captain, I almost wish I'd never written this poem." Well, fortunately for us, he did, and I'm going to attempt to read it for you now. So here we go with "O Captain, My Captain" from Walt Whitman, 1865. O captain, my captain, our fearful trip is done. The ship has weathered every rack, the prize we sought is won. The port is near, the bells I hear, the people all exulting, while follow eyes the steady keel, the vessel grim and daring. But O heart, 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 O the bleeding drops of red, where on the deck my captain lies, fallen, cold, and dead. O captain, my captain, rise up and hear the bells. Rise up, for you the flag is flung, for you the bugle trills. For you bouquets and ribboned wreaths, for you the shores are crowding. For you they call the swaying mass, their eager faces turning. Here, Captain, dear father, the arm beneath your head. It is some dream that on the deck you've fallen cold and dead. My captain does not answer. His lips are pale and still. My father does not feel my arm. He has no pulse nor will. The ship is anchored safe and sound, its voyage closed and done. From fearful trip the victor ship comes in with object won. Exult, O shores, and ring, O bells, but I with mournful tread walk the deck my captain lies, fallen cold and dead.